Yeah.
How
You have an American
how
in
you,
front of you.
Yeah, how
That's
you
me.
initially started supporting Ukraine. When did it happen, and how did it happen? And what did you feel? What was your motivation, Steph?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Putting you on the spot there. So, if I'm being completely honest and transparent with you, I think I used to view the whole situation quite differently because I grew up during the Iraq War, and that was kind of something that was sold to the American public, saying, "Okay, there's this country in the Middle East, and we're going to go in, and we're going to make the place democratic. We're going to give people rights. We're going to make everything better." Of course, that's not how it turned out, and so. My generation, who also then, volunteered in the military, kind of developed some cynicism towards what our government told us. So it's like, okay, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not that. It's probably not that good. So then, when the whole invasion started in 2014, I think like a lot of other Americans were like, okay, this is a problem, but I think if the U.S. gets involved, it'll maybe make the situation worse. So the people were like putting it kind of at arm's distance.
The famous American imperialism.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because the idea was that if we send troops on the ground, it's gonna it's like Iraq. It's gonna make it much worse for everybody. And then that kind of more or less was always going on in the background. And then when 2022 happened. I remember I told some friends of mine, I was like, there's no way Putin would be stupid enough to do this. And then I remember turning on the TV when I woke up and I saw the headlines and I literally bolted out of bed because I was like the world that we live in has completely changed overnight.
Yeah.
Everything we knew is different now. And ever since that moment, I've been following the war almost every single day. Mm-hmm. And people at FASM also ask me, hey, why do you care so much? You're not Ukrainian, you don't have any connections to Ukraine. And I explained to them, well, the world we live in is only possible because after World War II, in 1945, we all agreed, okay, these are the set borders we all agree on, internationally recognized borders, and we're not going to use force anymore to change those. All nations have a right to exist, and we're not going to conquer each other anymore. And that is the only reason we've been able to survive as a species because we now have nuclear weapons. And the absolute worst thing for humanity would be that a country with nuclear weapons then go ahead and do whatever it wants and it can invade any country without nuclear weapons. And if that's something that becomes a precedent, then I think that you're going to make a nuclear war pretty much inevitable because then every country is going to realize the only way to protect yourself from a full-scale invasion is the nuclear deterrent. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something most people can agree on. Is that's something we don't want. So that's why I tell everybody, this is, it doesn't matter if you're Ukrainian or not. This is a concern for everybody in the world. If we like this mostly relatively peaceful world we've lived in since the end of World War II, we need to fight now. Now is the time where we fight to make sure that the world we grew up in as kids, our kids are also going to inherit that same world. And we shouldn't just take it for granted.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the driving logic behind why I've cared so much this entire time. The war's been going on almost for 3 years now, almost 1,000 days now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Today is 946.
Yeah, 946, and most likely going to hit 1,000, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
maybe even more.
You will.
But yeah, that's kind of why I got started, and it's still why I started, and that's why I'm always. I keep on trying to escalate my support a little bit. So first it started financially, and then started with me coming to Ukraine with the 69th Steffen Brigade, then volunteering locally. And I was telling some people, I feel like I'm a few months away from doing something super drastic. I don't know what it is yet, but I think in a few months I might have something interesting to share with you guys.
He already shared it with me, but I see it's still a secret, a project in development.
I have some details that still need to be worked out because when someone asks me how, I'm like, that's a great question. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
CV, get out of your matrix. Yeah, exactly. That's what Steffen did, and everyone should do it because a lot of people in the States still live in their own matrix of the scary U.S. imperialism setting their bases everywhere. That's crazy. It's much worse than invading other countries and committing genocide, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like...
I'm being sarcastic, it's obvious, but...
It's not like we try to make Iraq the 51st state of the United States, right? Or making it I think something that I'm really disappointed in is that we made it kind of this Republican versus Democrat issue on Ukraine.
Yeah.
And traditionally, foreign policy has always been the one area where both of the parties agreed, because the precedent was, okay, bipartisan partisan politics ends at our shores. So once we start dealing with other countries, that's when we're united. I wanted to mention this. Maybe if you have any like hardcore Republicans who are listening to your stream, a lot of people don't know this, but President Trump was actually the first president who authorized military aid to Ukraine when he became president.
Javelins, right?
Yeah, he was the first one. Obama didn't do it when the Russia invaded, and it's like, and what a drastic change it is now. Like, and so when I have people who defend Trump's position, I'm like, well, what's your opinion on Trump sending military aid to Ukraine, like, when he was president? Like, it doesn't make any logical sense.
No. I can always give you some rationalization. Like, but he made a mistake back then.
Do you really think Trump's going to admit to saying, I made a mistake? Like, that would require Trump being wrong, right?
Well, he is close to saint, okay? But he was making mistakes before. He was not, like, kind of wise enough. I can always give you some stupid cope.
Yeah, coping mechanism.
So it's
copium.
Kripke reminded me, but I know that Kripke, that the war started in 2014. It escalated 3 years ago. Yes, I know, and I was the victim of that. Do you know where I'm originally from? I told you. You remember?
Yeah, you're from the Crimea, right?
No, from Makivka, Donetsk Oblast. And actually, this war. Yeah, this war affected me back then, and I lived in occupation for 4.5 years, and that was a shitty experience.
Yeah.
That Russian world brings only decay.
Yeah.
And it's really, there's no fucking growth there, no fucking perspectives for you, no gain. Only if you're a thug, like any Putin's,
if you agree with this world
followers, you're gonna be agreeing with the total corruption that Russia is, and you gotta be living that way. If you don't want to do this, you will just end up suffering there, not prospering.
So I had a question for you about that. So, do you know how many people when the war started back in 2014? How many people left the Donetsk area?
About 50%, man. It's that big. Migration was that big. Around 2 million people migrated from those two oblasts, from Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts.
And I think that's something that isn't talked enough about, especially in the West, because I sometimes have people try to argue with me saying, well, the East is different, man. The people there are much more pro-Russia. They wanted it, and
they did not.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, why did 2 million people leave? And then it's like, and then they go, okay, who remains? Okay, that required moving 2 million people. Which is like, if you need to move 2 million people to do anything, that's clearly not popular or widely supported. So, I would, anyone else also listening to the chat, if you ever hear the argument, I think that's something that should really be brought up, is saying like, hey, did you know that 2 million people literally had to be like forced to relocate because they didn't support that? Maybe it's even more than 2 million, because that may just be the official numbers. But.
Yeah, same happened to the citizens of Ukraine who lived in Crimea. They also moved to other regions. I'm not sure if the number of them reached 1 million people, but there were definitely hundreds of thousands of people leaving Crimea when Russia annexed it. And a lot of people stopped coming there. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, leave any comment under it, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. You can also join us on Rig the Ukrainian here for more streams and videos like this. Link to the stream this clip was taken from will appear in the end of this video. Thank you, and live long and prosper.